einer sehr großen Bedeutung für die Insel verursacht. Während sich die sozialen Bedingungen der Menschen im ganzen Land ständig verschlechtern, haben die Militärausgaben ein noch nie dagesehenes Niveau erreicht. Sri Lanka ist heute eines der am höchsten militarisierten Staaten Südostasien. Die Frage, der wir uns heute Abend scheitert. Wir begrüßen in unseren Reihen heute Abend Herrn Bashana Abeywardene. Bashana ist Journalist und Autor sowie Vorsitzender und Sprecher der Hiru Gruppe. Die Hiru ist ein Zusammenschluss von Journalisten und Kulturschaffenden, die sich für eine Annäherung der ethnischen Gruppen einsetzen. Bashana Abeywardene wurde aufgrund seiner friedenspolitischen Aktivitäten in Sri Lanka mit dem Tode bedroht. Er musste fliehen und lebt seit ungefähr einem Jahr in Deutschland. Wir freuen uns, ihn hier heute Abend in Berlin begrüßen zu können. Noch ein paar wenige Worte zum Ablauf des heutigen Abends. Bashana wird uns eine etwa einstündige Präsentation zum Krieg als Einstimmung darbieten. Danach werden wir noch etwa 30 bis 45 Minuten Zeit zur Diskussion haben, je nachdem, wie groß der Bedarf sein wird. Für die Übersetzung hat sich dankenswerterweise Anne Halper zur Verfügung gestellt. Und hier möchte ich noch eine technische Frage einführen. Wer von Ihnen benötigt einen Englisch-Dolmetscher? Oder verstehen alle von Ihnen ausreichend Englisch? Dann können wir nämlich auf die Übersetzung des Dolmetschlessons verzichten. Rosi weiß ich ganz bestimmt. Wer noch?
Ich bin okay.
Okay?
Nö.
Gut, dann können wir das nämlich, wenn es nur die Rosi ist, dann können wir den Vortrag in Englisch machen. Die andere wird dir dann ein Stückchen weit helfen. Die zweite technische Vorbemerkung. Wir haben diese schöne Anwesenheitslisten, die meine Kollegin Britta vorbereitet hat. Die würden wir jetzt rumgehen und Sie bitten, sich dort einzutragen. Wir brauchen das zum Nachweis, dass diese Veranstaltung stattgefunden hat und dafür, dass wir deutsche Steuergelder dafür ausgeben wollen.
Is it loud enough?
No. Please a little bit louder.
Okay. And so I hope that perhaps you might not know many things about Sri Lanka, but I think you might already know that there's a war going on. Because of that, Sri Lanka is war for the last 30 years. So we have been living with war for at least for the last 30 years. There are more than 100,000 people have been killed, and there are three ethnic communities. The majority community is known as Sinhalese, which I am the one. And there are two minority communities, the Tamils and the Muslims. And the war is basically between the Tamil ceasefire agreement between the conflicting parties. And after 4 years, Sri Lanka is back in war. This is a known fact. But what is not known or unknown to most of the people, the reasons behind the war, and the reason why we came back to war, why the Sri Lanka entered back to a war situation after 4 years of ceasefire. Now this is very important because there have been so many explanations and so many ways of interpretation about why the ceasefire failed. There have been so many explanations from that. But the thing is, the things that have been discussed among the people who are interested about the Sri Lankan situation it cannot be considered as fully truth because they are based on semi-truths or half-truths. So we have to understand why Sri Lanka came back to war, why Sri Lanka came back to another conflicting period instead of having a permanent settlement. So the thing is, one thing is that negotiations, when you say negotiations, there are two ways. One is to talk with each other, just keep on talking with each other instead of focusing on a certain core issue. And the other thing is negotiating. There is a difference between negotiating and talking. In Sri Lanka, the problem was there was so much of talking and structure. So it was signed in June 24. And soon it was signed, the ultra-nationalists, the Sinhala ultra-nationalists fought against the joint mechanism, and they said this is a betrayal of the country, the Tiger movement. And some of the nationalist parties who extended their support to the government immediately withdrew their support and they went to the courts. They went immediately to the courts, demanding a court verdict to abolish this P-Tom's agreement. And what happened? Which I am below me. So these are the main sea lines of the, I will explain the concept, the sea lines of communication, what it means exactly. It's basically a sea line, LOC is known as, so the SLOCs on the sea lines of communication is a route taken by a ship, point B, basically like a road used by a vehicle. And during a peacetime, these sea lines of communication commercial purposes, for trading purposes. But during the time of war, these same sea lines of communication are considered as strategic part where they can move their warships and armaments and troops using the same sea lanes. So these are the main 7 sea lanes in the world. 7 sea lanes. This form goes across the Indian Ocean. And the last 4, it goes passing Indian Ocean. And the importance of Indian Ocean, these are basic facts about the Indian Ocean. You can read it, 74 million square kilometers, 20% hydrosphere, and these are the most important thing. 40% of offshore oil and gas production is also taking place in the Indian Ocean, as well as 65% of strategic raw materials, and 4 main sea routes. These are the most important things about the Indian Ocean. He is considered as the father of the maritime strategy or the naval strategy. It's like the naval equivalent to Carl von outside the Indian Ocean. And you can see how much, how large the trade volume. The trade in the Indian Ocean, it's like 15% of cross-border trade is taking place in the Indian Ocean. How important the Indian Ocean sea lanes for the neighboring countries in the Asian area, Japanese, Chinese, and the Indians. Shows some basic facts about the Indian, Japanese, and Chinese trading activities, and it shows how important the sea lanes in the Indian Ocean for these countries, which is considered increases. And if you just look at this, in 2006, oil was 28% of the total world production, and it is estimated it will be 40%, 40.9%. The area holds 55% of the world's crude oil reserves, as well as 41% of the total proven gas reserves. You can see these are the basic facts about the Central Asian area, and here you can see the Persian Gulf. So it is close to Persian Gulf, and these are the basic facts about the energy. As you can see here, in 2003 you can compare the amount of crude oil barrels they used and the estimated amount they are going to use in 2015. And this is what she said in April 2004, is importance of the region. You can read it in United States National Security Strategy, and there it says southern area and the population. This is roughly Sinhala 73%, Tamil 18%, and Muslims 7%. So this is the smaller picture, and everybody thinks the conflict in Sri Lanka is only happening within this national boundaries and decided within the national boundaries of Sri Lanka. That is what most of the people believe. But Sri Lanka, to the west of Sri Lanka is Arabian Sea, and to the south of the east of Sri Lanka, it's Malacca Straits and South China Sea, unfortunately. So if you forget about these two things, it's a smaller picture. But as soon as you understand Sri Lanka is lying exactly in the middle of Arabian Sea and the Malacca Straits, then you know there's a bigger picture as well. Blue lines are the sea lines of communication.